Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Grow Through It podcast. My name is Julia, and today we are talking about the little things that make a relationship strong. I feel like I haven't done an episode about relationships recently, but it's one of the big reasons I started this podcast is to talk about relationships because I'm very passionate about having healthy relationships in your life. So today I thought I would talk about what actually makes a relationship strong. Because people often think that you need these big romantic gestures or you need to get them big expensive gifts or do these big things to strengthen a relationship. But that should never replace daily connection. The small things are what create trust, safety, and intimacy over time. So let's get into what I think makes a relationship strong. The first one is having check-ins, asking them how their day was, asking them if they need anything from you. If they're having a bad day, you can try to cheer the other person up. I know when Paul comes home from work and maybe he had a really stressful day, I can usually sense that. I ask him how his day was, I ask him what he needs from me, and typically I will put aside whatever I'm feeling because it doesn't happen very often, and I will try and cheer him up. I will try and make him laugh, I will be affectionate, and just try and get him in a better mood, and he does the same for me. So obviously, sometimes I'm not feeling the best either, but I feel like we're pretty good at kind of putting our own feelings aside for each other if we really need that. It doesn't happen all the time because we're usually in pretty good moods, but the times that we are a little bit stressed out, we try and put our own feelings aside and just try and cheer the other person up. And it actually helps me feel better too. If I'm feeling down, I can get out of that mindset and try and cheer him up. That also cheers me up. The next one is attention. Do you actually pay attention when they speak to you? Or are you scrolling on their phone, half listening, watching TV, and just not really listening to what they have to say? Because that's really important. There's nothing worse than talking to someone and telling them a story, and you can just tell that they're not really listening. They might hear what you're saying, but they aren't really comprehending or talking back to you. Also, how do you respond when they tell you something? Are you being supportive? Are you asking follow-up questions or showing genuine interest? It's really important that you are actually paying attention to your partner. The next one is physical and verbal affection. Paul and I are very good at this, and it's something that I think makes our relationship really strong. We are always telling each other how much we love each other. We are always saying I love you every single time we say goodbye. We always hug and kiss, hello and goodbye, and we make sure to make time for it and not rush it. I used to think being on time was the most important thing. And yes, obviously it's important to be on time, but I also learned like your goodbye could be the last goodbye. You just never know what's going to happen. So we always make sure to make time for each other and give like a good goodbye when we're leaving for work. And I just think that's really important, and it just makes us so much happier. It puts us in a good mood, and it makes us both feel appreciated and loved. And I just think that's really important. I know a lot of people don't do this enough, and I see other couples, I hear them talking on the phone or I see them in person, and they're just not very affectionate. And obviously it's okay if that's just not who you are. Some people don't like that physical affection, but I still think it's important to show your appreciation and love for your partner. Like when you are ending a phone conversation or if you're leaving, say I love you, because again, you never know when it's the last time you're going to see that person. Obviously, that's the worst case scenario and a little bit morbid, but it's the truth. Life is short and we just don't know what's going to happen. Anything could happen at any time. So you don't want to have any regrets. And that's why we always make our goodbyes so special. And even in the morning when we wake up, we make sure to give each other a big hug and tell each other we love each other and just talk about what we're going to do that day and just make time for each other. The next one is appreciation and gratitude, which kind of ties into the last point. So saying thank you to them, telling them how much you appreciate them and how hard they work, or if they made you dinner, even if it's something that they do all the time. Maybe your partner makes dinner for you every night. Is it just kind of expected now, or do you still say thank you every time they make you dinner? You could thank them for cleaning the house or taking care of the kids. Just tell them how much you appreciate them, because I think when we are doing those things like cooking, cleaning, and just doing like the daily chores and tasks, we can sometimes feel unappreciated because we aren't hearing that the other person values that. And so I think it goes a long way to just say thank you. I know I really appreciate when Paul thanks me for cleaning. It's something I do often, but again, I don't want it to be something that's just expected of me. I want to feel appreciated for it. And the other thing is you can tell them what you love about them. Talk about the personality traits that you love about them, or maybe they did something really kind. Like, tell them that you noticed that and tell them how much you appreciate them and love them and what specifically you love about them. The next one is healthy communication. Now, this is a big point because this is the number one thing I think is like the most important thing in a relationship. I did an entire episode about healthy communication, but it's just so important. And it's something that I struggled a lot with in the past and something that I've learned a lot about these past 4 years with Paul. And it's just so important. So the biggest thing is, I think, getting curious and understand what they're saying. If they're saying something that you might not love to hear, try to, or you don't agree with, try to understand where they're coming from and look at it from their perspective and always give them the benefit of the doubt. And just get curious about why they're doing what they're doing or why they're reacting the way they're reacting. Because I think when you assume things, that is never going to be a good option, because you're just going to create stories in your head and it could be so far off the truth. So get curious, understand what they're saying, and never raise your voice or yell. I understand sometimes things can get heated and things can be very frustrating. I have in the past yelled and been yelled at, and it's just not productive. It is disrespectful, and it's something that I will try my best to not do. Paul and I never yell at each other. If things are getting heated and we're getting frustrated, we know that that's time to walk away and cool off before coming back to each other and talking about it again, because we never want to be disrespectful towards each other. So we know that when it's getting to that point where we feel like we're heating up and things are getting really frustrating, we table it, we walk away, and when we're ready, we come back and we talk about it. And that's another thing. I think sometimes people might cool off, walk away, and then they feel better after cooling off, and then they just don't address the problem. And that is just going to build resentment. So definitely come back to your partner and talk to them about what's going on, because you have to finish that conversation. Otherwise, again, it just builds resentment and it's just not going to be healthy long term. The other thing is you never want to stay mad at your partner. Whatever situation you're in, no matter how frustrating it is, it should only affect the moment, not your entire relationship. And obviously, if it's something really big that will affect your relationship, that's another story. But I'm more talking about the little frustrations and the little disagreements. Again, it's okay to take space, but it's so important to come back and repair. The other thing with communication is you have to be willing to apologize. If you hurt that person and it's caused a disagreement, it's caused them to feel bad or sad, or you just hurt them in any way, no matter how hard it is, you just have to be willing to apologize. You have to put your ego aside and say you're sorry. Saying sorry and keeping yourself accountable really does go a long way in a relationship. In the past, I have been in a relationship where he never said sorry. Everything was always my fault. And that built so much resentment. It made me never want to bring anything up. It made me swallow my feelings, even if I was extremely hurt, because I knew that I would never get an apology. And now, Paul is so good at saying sorry for things, even if he doesn't fully understand where I'm coming from. If I'm frustrated about something, even if he doesn't understand it, if he knows that I'm hurt, he will apologize for that. And he truly tries his best to understand where I'm coming from. And for the most part, he can understand my feelings. But it truly goes such a long way with me that he's willing to put his ego aside and say sorry when it matters. Another thing is if something is really important to us, we have a conversation about it so the other person is aware. And I think this is really important as well. And it helps protect the relationship from conflict because, again, little resentments build when needs go unspoken, appreciation disappears, or you're letting the small annoyances pile up. It's really important to address things early on and respectfully. Again, it's also really important to give each other the benefit of the doubt. When their energy or tone is off, you don't want to automatically assume that something is wrong or they're mad at you. Maybe they just had a really stressful day at work, or maybe they're stressed about something going on in their personal life and it probably has nothing to do with you. So instead of just assuming that they're mad at you or that something is wrong, ask them. Because if you assume, you're just creating stories in your head. But when you get curious, that helps build a connection. The next thing that helps make a relationship strong is emotional safety. You should both be comfortable telling each other things if something is bothering you, or you have a new goal or idea, or if you just want more from the relationship, whether you need more attention, you need more help, whatever it might be, you should be comfortable going to your partner and talking to them about it. You should never fear telling them something. Like I said before, in the past, I would fear bringing something up because I knew what the outcome would be. I knew it would be turned around and be blamed on me. I knew I would probably get yelled at. I knew I would cry. I knew I would end up apologizing in the end, even though it wasn't my fault and I didn't do anything wrong. So I was always scared to bring something up, especially near the end of that relationship. So that obviously is not healthy communication, and that's just not a healthy relationship at all. You should never fear talking to your partner about anything. Another thing that helps make a relationship strong is being supportive. You don't always have to do everything together, but you should always support their goals and their hobbies. For example, I've brought this up many times. Paul goes to the mountains every weekend, usually every Saturday. He'll go snowboarding in the winter and hiking in the summer. And that is something that is extremely important to him. And I would never hold him back from doing that. There's, of course, times where things come up, events come up, and he can't go to the mountains. And I try and go to the mountains as much as I can too, but I don't snowboard yet. But majority of the time, he's in the mountains, and I am loving that for him, and I can go do my own thing. You don't always have to do every single thing together. And you should also feel supported too. Make sure it's not just you supporting them, but they also need to support you. So if you have a certain goal or a dream or a vision, or you maybe have a fitness goal or a business goal, it's really important that they're supportive through that journey. And you also don't want to have them hold you back. So if they're constantly saying, oh, you can skip that workout, or just not encouraging you or being supportive, that is something to address for sure. And also, I have had it in the past where I've been made fun of for something I wanted to do. Like, I've been made fun of for posting on social media, or I've been talked down to when I wanted to start a business. And those things really hurt. And you're not going to grow as a person if your partner is not being supportive. So it's really, really important that you are supporting each other. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is laughter and joy, because I think this is one of the biggest things in our relationship. We just have so much fun together. I can fully be my true, authentic self with Paul. And that is something that I have always struggled with. I'm not always great at being myself. And with him, I've shown him a side of me that I didn't even know existed. I am weird with him. We get silly together. We dance in the kitchen. We have inside jokes. And we just laugh so much. And that is a huge thing that I think lacks in a lot of relationships. Is it's always like go, 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 super serious all the time. And there's no lightness. So if your partner brings out your inner child, that is a fantastic sign. I think also being playful during hard seasons is really great. It's definitely what helped keep us connected when life was really heavy recently. Obviously, there's times to be sad and down, and there are serious times, of course. We know when it's time to get serious, but he can also kind of tell when I can be pulled out of that a little bit, and he just tries to make me laugh. And like I said, if he's having a bad day, I try and make him laugh, and we just try and be silly together. And it's just so much fun. We just truly have so much fun together. And I don't think I've ever had this much fun with someone before. And I think it's definitely one of the main factors that keeps our relationship strong. So those are all the little things that make a relationship strong. There's a lot more, but I think these ones are the most important. And I want you to remember that strong relationships usually aren't built in the big milestone moments. They're built in the small daily choices and actions, like how you speak to each other, how you repair after conflict, how you show up, and how safe you make each other feel. Because love isn't something you just feel, it's something that you have to practice. And having a strong relationship just makes life so much better. And I truly can't believe how far I've come in relationships because I went from being absolutely miserable, like at my lowest point. I I can't even explain how bad it was and how bad my mental state was at that time and how poorly I believe I was treated. And compared to now, like just how genuinely happy I am and how happy we both are. I've seen a side of Paul that I did not see at the beginning of our relationship as well. And I know we just bring out the best in each other. And that is just something that I think is so important. So that is it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram. You can DM me at growthroughit.pod. There's also a link in the show notes where you can anonymously ask any questions or suggest future topic ideas. If you enjoy this podcast, I would be so grateful if you left a rating or review and follow or subscribe, as that really helps my podcast grow and I want to reach as many people as I can. You can also share this episode with someone you think would benefit from it. Thank you guys so much for listening, and remember that you are worthy. See you next time.